I did not realise how long this tiny little speaker wall was going to take to build. In case you're new to my videos, I'm making a miniature record shop. I tested a whole bunch of ways of making the speakers. I couldn't figure out what to use for the cones and surrounds until I found a leftover metal eyelet from a kit build and realised it was perfect. I initially wanted to build them all out of wood, but after doing a couple, my hands turned into claws, so I used cardboard instead, which was so much easier. This meant that I could use a hole punch instead of a drill to make my holes, and I think it was meant to be because the eyelets fitted perfectly inside. I painted a bunch of cardboard black, cut them to size and made frames out of coffee stirrers. I did this over and over again for days. For the subwoofers, I used an old pair of tights and some electrical tape to create a realistic texture. I really wanted to have a working mini screen in this TV, and I went down a complete rabbit hole of how to do it until I realised now wasn't the time to be starting a new hobby. So I settled on wiring up a flickering LED bulb behind an old test screen. Now everything's built, I start gluing the eyelets down and use scraps from my hole punch to make some dials. Now I'm wiring up the flickering LED bulb and testing it out. It's definitely a bit warmer than I'd wanted, but it still does the job. I cut this really neat and tidy hole out the back to run the wires through and put the TV back on the wall. And there we have it, my finished speaker wall. Well, kind of finished. I need to fill in some of the gaps with more vinyls and make sure I deal with the light leaking out the side of the TV. But I'm just happy to have this bit finished. Follow along for part 5 of my miniature record shop series.